Sports Professor Rick Horrow, inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. You're on the record. I'm excited and honored to bring my Harvard law education and background in teaching to this business over the last 50 years. The books, Sport Business Handbook and otherwise. And most important, my dynamic partnership with SECON, Sports Entertainment Innovation Conference, every year in Las Vegas, but also other partners, USA Today, FinTech, and a few other exciting announcements to be done down the road. Bottom line is, the pandemic certainly changed the way we think about sports. Clearly the ultimate appointment viewing, but from the business, shared information, best practices, survival of the fittest, and creativity, and all of those issues are on display with some of the thought leaders you have heard from and will continue to hear from every week. A look back, a look forward, what are the trends, how do we survive and thrive from the pandemic? All of those issues brought to the table with some of my friends in the business who are the best and the biggest thought leaders. Have done it for years in the past, will continue to do so. Hopefully, you will continue to join me. Thanks again. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. You're on the record this week. Incredible week with a major golf tournament, tennis just a couple weeks away at Wimbledon, NBA, NHL playoff finals, baseball heating up, football just around the corner, and obviously Formula One up in Montreal for the Grand Prix, and on and on and on. Big issues this week, so let's get right to them. Look at the 5 opening bell issues of the week, last couple of weeks. Number 1, revamped Club World Cup for FIFA's billion-dollar gamble, basically. 32 teams from 63 matches. The prize pool goes from 16 million to $1 billion. It is the dress rehearsal for the World Cup in Canada, Mexico, and U.S. a year later. Real Madrid and other clubs have the ability now to offer players $1 million to play in this event because of that money that's been dealt with. And how do they get it? Media rights deal with Zone and TNT Sports in the U.S., enabling up to $125 million for the champion. That's how they get their money, plus the $250 million sovereignty fund. Ultimately, this is a great setup with FIFA behind it. How do you make sure it gets done? Well, fan engagement, TV ratings, globally exclusive, truly captures the world's imagination getting ready for next year. Ticket sales haven't been great. We'll just have to see how it all shakes out. As we get closer to the quarters, semis, and finals, I'll be at the quarters. That's number 1. Number 2, 150-1 long shot, J.J. Spahn wins a winner's check of $4.3 million. By the way, that's nearly a quarter of his $17.8 million career earnings for his whole life. 2022 Valero Open in San Antonio, plus the often heralded loss in the playoff to Rory McIlroy at the Players. But he got there. USGA maintained $21.5 million for their purse, the largest in major golf, and obviously a record for the U.S. 10th U.S. Open in Oakmont, 125th overall. Spawn's improbable comeback, boosting ratings, even though some would say he's a no-name. Don't tell JJ that. Number 3, tennis's prize money breakdowns, the ATP versus the WTA micromanaged Sportico courtesy to this one. Over $23 million awarded to the men, about $16 million awarded to the women. ATP tournaments distribute about 8 million euros per stop. The equivalent WTA 1000 events around 5 million. The 500 events offer about 1.8 million in purse. WTA 500 about 1.4 million. The majors equal, the others not. That's number 3. Number 4, ice to be dealt with and improved and built, an arena. Maybe an Atlanta NHL franchise. Number 3 isn't far behind. Suburban Forsyth County announced a $3 billion mixed-use project dubbed The Gathering in South Forsyth, including an 18,000-seat NHL-ready arena designed for a bid for another NHL franchise. 100-acre development led by local developer Vernon Krause also features restaurants, retail, hospitality, the usual, but patterned after the Braves' successful facility in Cobb County at the Battery. Now, 32 teams today. The owner potentially of that project, Vernon Krause, meeting with Gary Bettman to discuss expansion. Well, the Flames flamed 1972 to 1980. The Thrashers, 99 to 2011, both relocated, but Atlanta is now number 7 media market. And Gary Bettman, bullish on Atlanta. Clearly, we have not heard the last of that story. Number 4. Now, number 5, the UEFA Women's Euro 2025 on course to reach about $100 million in media revenue 1 month out. About 142% of the 37.5 million euros guaranteed in 2022. Now it's over $100 million expected revenue. It's a big jump for a more favorable time zone from Australia. 2023 having 6 to 11 teams versus 16, helping attract actual viewers. Media rights fees have surged 838% since 2017. Obviously a big deal, and we have to take advantage of it as we're getting near soccer season. This year, the Club World Cup, UEFA following, real quote-unquote, Men's World Cup next year. We talked tennis a couple of minutes ago about prize money. We have a great opportunity to hear how young tennis players, golfers, volleyball players, and soccer players are created, coached, taught, not only academically, intellectually, and a whole holistic approach to it. Gabe Jaramillo, the RPS Academy leader, was the guy that ran IMG Bollettieri from 81 to 2009. And by the way, coached, get this, Agassi, Courier, Mary Pierce, Sharapova, Seles, Nishikori, to name a few. 26 straight years as Bollettieri's right-hand man, and 27 top 10 champions, plus 11 number ones. He doesn't train champions, he makes them, he says, but he'll talk about the RPS Academy. I was honored and privileged enough to give the graduation speech a couple of weeks ago. What a great group of kids and a great program. They're focusing on those major sports we talked about, but also lacrosse, field hockey, swimming, women's soccer, maybe even sports debate, certainly intellectual as well as physical. The kids are great. The organization is great. But a bigger picture of what Gabe thinks of the future of men's and women's tennis and how he gets the kids better prepared to take the business on. Here's Gabe. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports, and you're on the record with a intersection of the finest training in the world with the finest intentions and the finest minds in the world. We bring it all together after an amazing graduation ceremony. Full disclosure, I was the keynote speaker. They couldn't find anybody better at RPS Academies, and had a wonderful class of world-class athletes and minds graduate all over the country and the world they come from. They're ready to do the world's bidding and knock them dead all over the country. And the reason for it is the CEO and founder of RPS Academies, Gabe Jaramillo. Hey, how you doing? Where are you?
Rick, it's a pleasure to see you. I'm here, I'm at home, right here, enjoying the view of the beautiful golf course. And now that you mentioned the graduation, your speech was so, I mean, the kids still talking about it. So very appreciative that you were able to do that for us.
Well, I do appreciate that. Obviously, you couldn't find anybody better, but it was an honor for me to provide some perspective to these kids. We'll get back to these kids in a minute, but first I want to focus on you. From 1981 to 2009, you were the tennis director of Bollettieri, IMG, basically Mark McCormick's right tennis hand. Talk about that.
It was a very beautiful experience, actually. Mark McCormick was very involved. He was very supportive. And he knew that tennis was a big sport. And when we started the academy, we always provided the most income to the whole place. So, and he loved playing tennis. And every time he came to the academy, we had to set up matches for him. So that was fun. And for me, as a coach, being the director of, at that time, the best academy in the world, because we were extremely successful. That was something that is incredible. I mean, we produced so many world champions that nobody will ever repeat that we did. Nobody. That's how strong and how big we were. And I'm very confident to say that that's something that nobody will ever repeat.
Well, I'm pretty sure of that. And just listen to the names. I'll do it, and then you can embellish. Agassi, Courier, Mary Pierce, Sharapova, Seles, Nishikori, who is like Japan's famous, the premier second, Nishikori first, and on and on. 11 number ones, 27 top 10 in WTA champions. What was your special sauce? Why did they like you so much?
I think the methodology was very strong. I had a very good background in sports. My mother was an Olympic swimming coach, so I took a lot from that. Swimming is very advanced. Swimming is a very scientific sport, the way they train. So starting with the periodization, which is a planning method, nobody used to have periodization. I was the one who started the periodization, and it's because I saw it, working with my brother, which he was an Olympic swimmer, and all the other athletes that my mother trained. So I tried to have the same correlation to tennis, and it worked extremely well. So the methodology was something that we paid a lot of attention to. And if you look at our players, methodology, people think is only strokes, but methodology is everything. Methodology is tactics and strategy. So all our players played on top of the line, no backing up, aggressive tennis, none of that, Berazatega, Bruguera, hitting the ball up high. Everything was, on your face. And the other part that the methodology that for us is very important is we always talk to the students about the importance of believing in themselves. And you saw the match yesterday, for example, the French Open. If you look at Alcaraz, Sinner, extremely good match. But Alcaraz, and at the end of the match, at the very, very end, somebody asked him a question: how come he was able to fight? How come he was able to go for those shots at the right moment? And he said, because one, very simple, because I believe in myself. I believe in myself. And to me, that's the key for everything you do in life. If you believe in yourself, you're one step ahead. So that's part of the methodology that I always try to tell the students. For example, when they come to the academy, the first question that I ask them is, what is your dream? No, what are you going to accomplish? What is your goal? No, no, no. What is your dream? And all those guys that you mentioned, Agassi, Courier, Wheaton, Sampras, the first thing they said was, I'm gonna be number one in the world. No, 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 I'm going to be. It was like an affirmation. That's how much they believe in themselves. And every time I ask them, you know what that means? Do you know what it takes to be number one in the world? And right away, without hesitation, a lot of work, sacrifice. And when I told them, you understand sacrifice? And this is, for example, Monica Seles, for example. When she came to the academy, she was there, her parents, she was by herself. And she was saying, I'm here by myself, away from my family, away from my food, away, this is very hard. I'm here, I cry every night. And just to show that they were kids, they were little kids, but they knew that they were sacrificing because they were reaching for that dream.
How much of this is ground strokes, serves, etc., and how much is psychology and ego management?
I always say that that's a good point. I always say that the ability, when somebody has, to have what it takes, you need both, because you need to be very skillful, but at the same time you need to have the mindset to know that, hey, you're gonna get there. Because I have a lot of players that come with beautiful strokes, but they don't know how to play tennis. I mean, they don't know, they don't have the ability, the mental skills to be able to anticipate the shot, for example, of the opponent. And what I remember with all these Agassi, Courier, Wheaton, all of them since they were very young, they had a lot of talent, but at the same time, they had a lot of potential. And I think people tend to mix the two. They think they are the same, talent and potential. And they're two different things. I know a lot of very talented players, but they didn't have the potential. And to me, potential sometimes is a lot more important than the talent. Now, you need both, and you need talent, because I could be a very good coach, but if you give me a player with no talent, it's nothing I can do. I don't matter. I don't do magic. But if you give me a player that has talent and a little bit of potential, I can take him as they want to go.
You push the envelope for confidence. Here's a quote from your material. I don't train champions, I make them. That's a pretty darn important statement. If you can't back it up, you can back it up.
That is right. But at the same time, like I was saying, I believed in myself. I knew I could do it. When I stepped in that position, I knew I could make champions, and I knew I was born to make champions. And some people call me cocky, and some people say that I'm very arrogant. But it's another thing. When I have the players in front of me, no matter what age, if they don't have that arrogance, they don't have that belief in themselves, they don't have a chance. Because tennis is very hard. Tennis is a very difficult sport. It's a one-on-one, very competitive. And to be able to survive the high performance, you have to have that arrogance. Arrogance that doesn't mean to be disrespectful to the press or no. Arrogance means really is believing in yourself 100%. And that's what it takes to be a coach. That's what it takes to be a player. And that's what it takes to be a champion in life.
So all of these players have, and you can research them all. I know you know all of their histories in every detail, but they've all experienced some degree of failure throughout their career, and they bounced back to be resounding successes, Hall of Famers, amazing business people. What's the secret of resilience? It's not exceeding in the peak, it's exceeding in the valley to get up after you're hit. And how do you teach these folks with sometimes large, maybe fragile egos, that when you're hit, you got to get up quickly and then you got to succeed?
That's when we define a champion. People think champion is the one that wins the medals or wins the trophies, but what I define champions is the players that they have the dream, they work hard to get the dream, and when they fall, they're gonna get up again. A wannabe is the one that when they fall, they start looking for excuses. They start looking back to see what they can do back. When I look for champions, is somebody that falls down and they get up and they keep looking forward. If you look at Agassi, I mean, he dropped to 300 in the world and he came back to be number one in the world.
Yeah.
And he had to play all the small tournaments. He had to pick up his own balls. He had to call his own lines on the court after being number one in the world. Now somebody else, it will be very difficult to go to that route. But this is a champion. When he was down, he told me, I'll make it again and I'm going to make it on my own. And that's what he did. Like you were saying, that's what champions do. Champions have that resilience, to go back up again and do it again.
You work with Bollettieri and IMG and the Academy for 26 straight years, which is a little bit of ego management, by the way, not just for the players, but all those folks around you as well. You succeeded, formula for success. Given that perspective, was it harder basically to train 1980s and 1990s athletes than it is today?
Very different. And I think the difference is I think the mindset of the students today is a little bit different. At the same time, I think some of the rules, for example, the USTA or the NCAA looking for that UTR, I'm very, very opposed to the UTR because they say it's not a ranking, it's a rating, but it's semantics. At the end, it's the same thing. So you see players talented, and you see players with very good strokes, tactically sound, and when they go play a match and the match gets tight, they don't want to lose to a player that is lesser than them because the UTR will go down. So then they start pushing and they start hitting the slices and they start, doing completely different what we train for. So to me, that's something that it has, in a way, taken a lot away from American tennis. And those are the students that, nobody asks them, what is your ranking? Everybody asks them is, what is your UTR? And I bet you everybody that you ask tennis player, they know the UTR to the little decimal point, and that's how important. And to me, that's not important because when they play, they should be able to play knowing that what they do in that day is going to help them improve their tennis. They are investing in their game. I'll give you an example. Agassi was playing. He was 14 years old. Was playing nationals. I was missing the ball by inches. So in the changeover, I go, Andre, man, big targets. And he turns around and he goes, don't worry. That's the way I'm going to be number one in the world. And he was a kid. And he was teaching me a lesson because as a coach, I was telling big margins. He was telling, no, let me hit. Sure enough, he lost the match, but he was very happy. He said, I did what I was supposed to do. I'm invested in my game. I was young. I was like 26, 27. So, a little kid was teaching me a lesson that helped me for the rest of my life.
You see Sinner, you see Alcaraz, you see these guys taking over for Djokovic, the big three. Do those guys possess that fortitude that Agassi and those others 30 years ago did?
I think so. Especially those two, they're so farther ahead than anybody else in the tour. But it's a different because the quality of ball is a lot higher. If you look at the speed of the ball, the spin of the ball, the velocity of the serves, they're more complete. I mean, these two are really, really good. And the difference is that Agassi, Wito, and all those guys were able to stay in the tour for a long time. You look at Djokovic, I mean, he really took care of his body and he lasted a long time. That's what he's the GOAT. Now, I don't
Past
know.
tense. Don't do past tense with that guy, man. He's still around, right?
He's very good.
Yeah.
He's very impressive. That's the sad part about tennis. He loses in the semifinals and he lost. He
Yeah.
loses in the finals and he loses. But he is an inspiration for a lot of people. What he did and what he has done has been incredible for the sport.
Yeah. Let's talk business for a minute, then we'll talk your academies and your passion. What is the biggest change in the business of tennis broadly defined today versus, let's say, 20, 30 years ago?
When we started the academy, we were the first academy. It was nobody else. Right now, there is a millions academies. Now, the difference too is that before an academy was really an academy. An academy, we had the school inside, we had our conditioning, we have our trainers. But today, anybody, for example, a coach leaves the academy, buys a van, puts Gomez or Piestri or whoever's name on this banner, that's an academy. And that's not an academy, that's a program. Now, the difference for us is that we have a lot of expenses because we have to carry the expenses of the people that take care of the students. We have to take care of the expenses of all the coaches. I mean, we have 72 people in staff. So that is very expensive. You know, a little program that supposedly want to be academies, and they probably have 5, 6 coaches. And then, you know, this is very different. Now, the business in the past also was very, especially signing players, for example. It was a handshake. You know, your handshake, that was it. A contract was done with a handshake and an agreement was done and they believe in that agreement and they supported and they honored the agreement. Today it's been very difficult. I mean, somebody, you know, writes or shakes hand, even with a written contract, they find a way to break it. So even for companies like yours, for example, that you have, you know, a lot of players that you represent, it's been more complicated. And for us as an academy too, because we invest a lot of money in the players, because we give them scholarships, they're very talented players, but knowing that at the end we don't know if they're going to be loyal or not. When I was in IMG and Bollettieri, those kids were loyal to us to the very end.
Yeah, and they'll continue to be because you did it differently. So let's segue to the academies for a few minutes. Your mission statement is unlike anything we've seen, and let me just quickly read it. Transform children into champions in life, dedicated training and investment in our students. We aim to maximize their intellectual, academic, athletic potential, 3 pillars. Talk about that a little bit and how it's shaped RPS.
One of the things that you know, the biggest investors that we have in his mind, the most important thing is the students have to be champions for life, which we all know. Well, I think when you practice a sport, you have values. The values that sports teaches you: honesty, discipline, perseverance. They just those 3. There are more values, but there's those 3 can help anybody succeed in life in whatever they do. So we're making sure that those values are very, very strong and that the students understand that is what they are all about. And at the same time, the 3 pillars, academics, we pay a lot of attention that our students are very well prepared. So if they go to college, you know, we want to go to Harvard, Princeton, MIT, you know, that's our goal, that they go to the best possible, you know, and so far we've done a very good job with that, and we keep improving our academics daily. The other pillar that is important is the intellect. And with that is something that I would love to do with you, which is the debate, because it's part of the intellect. We want to do the debate. We want to do gaming. We want to do, you know, so many things that we want to do, you know, in the intellectual part, to make sure that they evolve, not just that they're athletes, but that also they are the complete package. You know, that's what we want to do. And in sports, high performance is everything. in tennis, for example, every ball they touch has to have a tactical intention. That's the key.
These are the best. These are the best athletes in the world whose parents trust you to not only make them better athletically, but make them better academically in a cultural situation after seeing the graduation like none other. When you look at your numbers, it's PK through 12, but also your student teacher ratio, 8 to 1. I've never seen 8 to 1. And the 100% go to a 4-year college. It's an incredible success story, especially in these days of empowered, enlightened, up and out, I want it tomorrow athletes.
That is so true, because everything today is they want results today, and you know how it is. The high performance is one step at a time. You cannot jump from 1 to 3. You have to go 1 and 2, one at a time. And that's a part that we put a lot of emphasis when we talk to the students from the very beginning. They need to understand that they have to be patient, that they have to believe in the system, that they have to believe in what we know and how we're going to take them to exactly who they want to be. And one thing that is pressure for us is because, like you were saying, we know the parents are putting that responsibility on us because they believe in our program, because they believe in our coaches. So for us, we know that we have to deliver, and we have to deliver at the best of our ability, because we have to trust, or those parents for trust us, we have to make sure that we deliver at 100%.
Now, your core is tennis, golf, volleyball, and soccer, but the expansion plans and these kind of secondary, not secondary because they're, tackle it with a priority like you do everything else. Lacrosse, field hockey, swimming, women's soccer, debate, that is big. We're going to talk about debate and sports, but talk a little bit about your facility and your program expansion plans.
We're expanding rapidly. Right now, we are finishing the building of the school. So basically everything is inside, and everything that is part of the academy belongs to us. All the land, all the real estate belongs to us, because before we used to basically rent. So that will give us more authority of what to do. This is a big operation. All the sports that are going to come into play. I think we have a lot of room for expansion. To me, swimming is very big because I've been around swimming for a long time. Field hockey is another one that is very big up north, and I think northeast, and I think it's coming out to Florida rapidly because of the weather, and they want to be able to compete, and they want to be able to have more matches, and women's soccer to me is a no-brainer. I mean, the best soccer players in the world, female players, are Americans. And we have very good coaches, very talented girls that are playing soccer from very young ages. So it's something that we're going to start this year. We're going to start, women's soccer.
Do you think, and we talked about debate, and hey, pickleball too. Let's not forget pickleball. That's there for whether we like it or not. It's there, and it's a big deal. And we talked about debate. So your expansion plans obviously include the physical plant as well as the programming plant as well. And we know that you're in the middle of a growing county up the Treasure Coast from Miami, St. Lucie County, and in the state of Florida. Do we think that the state of Florida and St. Lucie County fully appreciate at this point the big tourism, economic, tax, family impact today and the future that you have on these localities?
Another thing that I forgot is we're building 22 more courts. We're building 2 stadium courts.
Yeah,
We're building 3 indoor courts. So we keep building, and we keep, the facility is getting bigger and better. And when we talk about the city, like right now, we have the money to start building those tennis courts today. But the city takes a long time to basically approve all those plans. I hope they understand what we do for the city. There are a lot of cities that want us. I remember when we were in Casa Grande, Arizona, that the government was basically putting the money for us to repay the money in 100 years. There are a lot of counties that understand, what IMG, for example, has done for Barrington, Florida, what other big academies have done for the area. And for us, it's the same. We have in tennis, we have half of our students are non-borders, and the parents have bought houses around here. And I think there's 1 or 2 American parents, the rest of them are foreigners. and they come and buy big houses, big real estate. They basically invested in the community. So we're not only providing more money, like every weekend when these students go out, these students have their resources. So when they go to the mall, I mean, they go to buy. And
Yeah.
when they go to a restaurant, they go to the best restaurants. And this is every weekend, weekend after weekend. And when the parents come to visit, it's the same. These parents, when they come, they don't take their son or daughter to dinner or to lunch. They take all their friends. So when
Yeah.
they go to lunch or dinner, it's a table of 12 people, to the best restaurants in town. So they contribute, we contribute also with taxes. They will pay a lot of taxes. I mean, we're contributing a lot, to the city. I'm just hoping that they understand the value that we have. And that
Well,
we
I will tell. I will. Yeah, you provide. I will tell you this: that soapbox a little bit. I've been involved in. It's about $22 billion worth of public money for facilities and events that are guaranteed far less impactful than yours. So here's hoping that they do get the message, and we're right there for you with that message. One more business question: NIL expectation of dollars from college, is that screwing you up?
Actually, I agree with it because a lot of the players, when they go play college, basically they're playing for free. And one thing that we always tell the students is not to do anything for free. That's something that we put in their minds from the very beginning, just to teach them their value. When they're going to do something like that, for example, the social media, we have to make sure the social media is clean, that they don't have any stupid stuff in the social media. And if by any chance, because sometimes they want to be cute and they want to say that they have the best racket in the world, I always ask them, okay, how much are they paying you to use that racket? So what do you advertise for that racket?
Yeah.
So they learn that they have a value. And it's becoming stronger and stronger. I think for sports in general, especially if it's American football or basketball that so many people watch, on TV. And, I think it's great that these athletes, get paid since they're young because, I mean, they're earning their money. They earn it. I mean, it's very hard to go to school and study the hours that they have to study. And then they have to train. And most of them, they do it in the morning. They train in the morning, they go to school, they go in the afternoon, they train, they go to school, in the weekends, they play in tournaments. It's very difficult. It's a very sacrificed life. And usually when they leave college, they don't have a penny. And a lot of them, they don't have full scholarship. Some of them have a partial scholarship. And when they leave college, they have to pay for that scholarship. But in the meantime, if they're getting paid for what they're doing, I think it's very good.
Final question: where is Gabe Jaramillo and RBS 10 years from now?
My dream is to have the best academy in the world. That's my dream. It's not right now. It's not so much about making the next number one in the world. I want to make the next number one academy in the world, and I wanted to make sure that it's sustainable. That we're gonna be in business for a long time. That we're able to provide for students that want to be champions. That's the way we want to make champions.
Well, look, the industry and kids, they're in great hands with you and the Academy. I'm lucky enough to be around the corner from you all. Nothing but great things. It's an amazing institution. Will only get better. Sports Festa Rick Horrow. Speak with you soon. Great conversation with Gabe Jaramillo and the RPS Academies, talking about what it's like to make great athletes, tennis players, soccer players, golfers, volleyball players, and a whole host of others. The industry is in good hands if he's around to make sure it's cultivated, and he is. Finally, let's talk, as we usually do, about our 5 to watch, what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Number 1, about half the women's sports fans are more likely to support a brand partnering with female athletes, the study by Parity says. The Women's Sports 2025 study says 43% of fans who support women's sports are more inclined to buy from brands that partner directly with female athletes. 67% among those who watch women's sports more frequently, of those, 46% more likely to favor athlete-led partnerships, and on and on. You get the picture. But the WNBA emerges as the most popular women's league. 51% of women's sports fans say they support it, while the NWSL has certainly taken major steps as well. Clearly, 2025 added major sponsors like AT&T, Tylenol, and they keep going. Obviously, continue to watch them. That's number 1. Number 2, the PGA Tour's expected hiring of Brian Rolapp as the CEO is a strong choice by most folks. Last 8 years in the NFL, media strategy, negotiating multiple landmark multi-million-dollar broadcasting deals, billion-dollar broadcasting agreements with NBC, CBS, ABC, Netflix, Amazon, Fox, and others. Some question Jay Monahan's job status. Rolap, however, inherits significant challenges. What about Liv? The deployment of $1.5 billion, a growth fund of the Strategic Sports Group, evolving tournament schedules, topsy-turvy television ratings. He's up to it, but it'll certainly be a challenge. We have to watch that as well. That's number 2. Number 3, fans blast digitally inserted court images for Game 2 of the NBA Finals. It was grainy. It didn't look great, some would say. NBA Finals presented by YouTube all over the NBA transmission. But on the court, not so exciting. 2014, the NBA players basically forced the league to get rid of those painted logos on the court. Injury factor, you can't blame them. But now they've kind of come up with something new and fast. That's number 3. Number 4, Theta Labs A1 artificial intelligence for AI for fan engagement. Match day logistics, player and team insights, A1 agents, merchandising, ticketing. They'll use the Edge Cloud platform to deliver this message. The Philadelphia Union soccer team just signed on. The Golden Knights, the Devils, the Earthquakes, and others, the NBA Rockets, are at the forefront of this company's merger of AI and fan engagement. Obviously, there will be more. That's number 4. And number 5, the Kroenke Sports and Entertainment Company is doing some great things in Denver. Obviously, there are developments like we just talked about in Atlanta, where a developer will control the entire mixed-use portion of the facility and the development, therefore generating revenue enough to build an arena and potentially get a team. KSE, the Kroenke Group, obviously has the teams with the Nuggets and the Avalanche, and River Mile, the Ellich Gardens and Revesco and KSE have come together and said, we're going to add over 1 million visitors as the company advances the River Mile ambitions. Will be officially tied in to the Ball Center, where the obviously the Nuggets and the Avalanche play. One of these examples is not just putting the deal together all at once, but having the arena and then bringing in the contiguous real estate as they move forward. That's exactly what Kroenke is doing. It's going to be successful like everything else he does. Well, that's looking forward in the next 2 weeks. We'd like to thank Callie Kazire for helping us put the program together. We'd like to thank Gabe Jaramillo and his RPS Academies for being so open and transparent and forthright in his ability to teach kids. We're going to hear a lot more from them. I'd like to thank you for listening and watching. And next week, join us once again. We continue to go inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. Sports Professor Rick Horrow. Speak with you soon.